Welcome to another edition of Take 5. We're in John chapter 5, verse 1. After this, there was a feast of the Jews, and Jesus went up to Jerusalem. And there is in Jerusalem by the sheep gate a pool, in Aramaic called Bethesda, which has 5 roofed colonnades. In these lay a multitude of invalids, blind, lame, and paralyzed. One man was there who had been an invalid for 38 years. When Jesus saw him lying there and knew that he had already been there a long time, he said to him, "Do you want to be healed?" The sick man answered him, "Sir, I have no one to put me into the pool when the water is stirred up, and while I am going, another steps down before me." Jesus said to him, "Get up, take up your bed and walk." And at once the man was healed, and he took up his bed and walked. All right, let's just stop for a minute. Apparently there was an angel that would come down and touch the waters, and whoever could get into the water first got healed. This guy had been there 38 years. He couldn't get healed. Jesus says, "Do you want to get well? Do you want to be healed?" He doesn't know who Jesus is. He's never seen him do these miracles or anything like that. So he just explains to him why he hasn't been healed up to this point. He's saying, "Look, I've tried. I like to get in there, but I just can't get in there fast enough." So Jesus tells him to get up, take up his mat and walk, and he did. So the guy got healed. You know, it's a miracle. And, you know, if you've been trying to get something for a long, long time, and, 38 years, but he didn't give up. And that's the key. If you haven't gotten everything you need, don't give up. Jesus may be right there around the rescue, right around the corner to rescue you. I'm very tired, so I apologize. The rest of verse 9, now that day was the Sabbath. So the Jews said to the man who had been healed, "It is the Sabbath, and it is not lawful for you to take up your bed." But he answered them, "The man who healed me, that man said to me, 'Take up your bed and walk.'" They asked him, "Who is the man who said to you, 'Take up your bed and walk'?" Now the man who had been healed did not know who it was, for Jesus had withdrawn, as there was a crowd in the place. Afterward Jesus found him in the temple and said to him, "See, you are well, sin no more, and nothing worse may happen to you." Now, the Jews, and we're talking about the religious, prideful Jews, they had an issue. They had an issue with the fact that this guy was walking around carrying his mat on the Sabbath. By their tradition, you couldn't do that. Now, it didn't really violate the law, but they thought it did. And I've had my own run-in with religious, prideful people that don't, if you don't fit their mold, if you don't say things the way they want you to say them, do things the way they want you to do them, they got all kinds of issues with you, okay? Best thing to do with people like that is ignore them. You just keep doing what God wants you to do. Alright. Let's deal with what Jesus says in verse 14. Afterward, Jesus found him in the temple and said to him, "See, you are well, sin no more, that nothing worse may happen to you." Very possible that whatever caused this guy to be an invalid was related to sin. But even if it wasn't, the fact is, he should be grateful. He should be grateful for what God has done, and the response to gratitude is not to sin, but more holiness. So if God has done something great for you, and he certainly has, if he saved you, he's done something great for you, then your response should be to try to stop sinning. Right. Verse 15, the man went away and told the Jews that it was Jesus who had healed him. And this was why the Jews were persecuting Jesus, because he was doing these things on the Sabbath. They were really hung up with that whole Sabbath thing. There are a whole lot of other commandments, but the only one they seemed to really focus on was the Sabbath. Verse 17, but Jesus answered them, "My Father is working until now, and I am working." Verse 18, this was why the Jews were seeking all the more to kill him, because not only was he breaking the Sabbath, but he was even calling God his own Father, making himself equal with God. Notice to say they were seeking all the more to kill him. Not to reason with him, not to argue with him, not to try to have a discussion with him, to kill him. People can be hateful, especially religious people. So don't be surprised if there's people in your life, religious people, that hate you, and perhaps even would want to kill you. Don't be surprised. It's what they did for Jesus. They'll do it for you. Hey, come back tomorrow for the next edition of Take 5.